Good evening. Welcome to Siddha-Vetha webinar series. Today we have Srinivasan. His topic will be on the compounding effect of teaching kids, creating systems of positive habit patterns. So Siva is a volunteer. Is a master professor in Sky Kundalini Yoga. Is passionate about teaching yoga to kids and learning from them. He is an ambassador in the Siddha-Vetha organization and volunteers for many other like-minded organizations. He is basically an IT professional, but he has a very deep interest in sustainable farming. So I request Shiva to start his talk.
Thank you, Dr. Sean. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you come on a video mode if you could?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm using my phone because my computer audio may not be that great. So I'm hoping that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Okay, so thank you for having me today. So I didn't have slides or anything prepared, but I can send the write-up later on for the benefit of the audience. This is sort of like exchanging my thoughts on the compounding effect of teaching kids, and we can do an interactive Q&A session and continue this topic because it's a very, very profound topic. So these are just from my experience and using the yoga systems, what I have learned and observed. So whatever that you may have, we can exchange and develop a comprehensive system that through Siddha-Vetha we can propagate and follow. So let me start. So probably it will take about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I'll try to keep it short. So the compounding effect of teaching kids, creating systems of positive habit patterns. First, I want to take some time to explain the compounding effect. So generally, anything that we do, whether we like it or not, it has a cumulative value to it. For example, money or any habit that we develop. And the earlier that we develop the habit in our life, the more the compounding effect of it. And it's generally more pronounced in bad habits because it's very visible. It's very visible in good habits also, but people don't pay attention to it. For example, you can take the habit of, smoking. So if somebody picks up smoking at a young age, the cumulative effect of that or the compounding effect of that on the health of that human being is going to be very detrimental. Now, so by cumulative or compounding, what I mean is starting early in life and then continuing to nurture it or continuing to follow that habit pattern throughout the life. For example, you plant a coconut tree and you nurture it for 5 to 6 years until it becomes a tree or something where it can sustain by itself as much as possible. That provides hundreds of coconuts for decades. So all we did was plant one seed at the right time and we nurtured it when it was vulnerable. The same applies for kids. So in compounding, the time is on your side. If the right seeds are planted and nurtured for the kids, they can be very fruitful to the family, society, and the world. And we can go a little over like how we can do it, what are the challenges, and we can exchange our thoughts on how to make it easy and feasible in our fast modern life. And the seeds could be simple things like teaching good food habits, positive behavior, observing nature, yoga, etc. And the kids have this long journey ahead of them and this time in front of them. It could be like, let's say they live 80 years, 90 years. This 90 years, typically, like, you can start, if you start planting the seeds around 5, 6, 7 years. So you have like 85 years of that habit marinating in the kids and spreading to so many people. So this kids have a long journey ahead of them, and this time in front of them is a tailwind that can set their ship sail in one way or other. If parents are preemptive and intervene early in a certain way, they can steer the ship in certain direction that will set the ship in sail towards the proper destination. When a positive thought or habit is planted at this stage and nurtured consistently, it'll multiply and spread it into their system, time, family, life, network, etc. I mean, it's very hard to really calculate and put a value, but in general, overall, on average, you can observe that, and you can see the benefit of it. Also, for the kids, the prarabdha karma is very low, which is the accumulation of imprints in this lifetime has not yet happened. So this means less resistance. The receptivity is more. It's like the clay in the hands of a potter. So it's a very nice planting time. It's like a farmer who has this fertile soil in front of him, and he should do the planting because the season is right. If he misses it and the season is gone, then he has missed the planting season. So then he needs to wait for much longer or a better time. So that's one of the key effects of this compounding effect. Due to there are some facts that we need to check. We need to discuss also. Some things like when the kids go through negative experiences. So in these cases, like, there are a lot of families where, due to various reasons, children are sometimes, and in some cases, oftentimes, placed in hostile situations where they undergo negative experiences. This leaves a marked impact on them. As a responsible parent, one of the steps to be taken right after the negative experience or in the immediate vicinity is to shower them with ecstatic, positive moments or experiences. What happens is this overlays the negative imprints and buffers the negative effect of it. If left unattended, these negative experiences develop into negative scars that radiates negative energy and alters the kid's personality over time. So these things can be, if parents pay attention and do whatever they can within their reach, that can help in maintaining a smooth personality for the kids. When the kids are subjected to violent situations, it creates a deep fear-based negative imprint in them. So right after the incident or in the nearest possible time, it is important to superimpose powerful positive experiences. It can be as simple as taking them to a spiritual place, doing a group chant, listening to sweet music, nature trip, or making them play with their best friends, etc. These are simple steps, but the simple steps have an effect because of the proximity to the negative incident. It's like cleaning the vessel right after you cook. The more you leave the vessel, the dirt or the food gets stuck to the vessel, and it becomes harder and harder to clean and leaves a mark on the vessel. Exact same thing. So the cleansing needs to be done, and these positive experiences are like the waves in the ocean that comes and cleans the sandcastles. So the waves are similar to the positive experiences, and the sandcastles are these negative experiences that get cleansed by the waves. So here I want to take a quick short break for a couple of minutes just to reposition my computer. Give me 1 second. So I'm back. Let me just start my video. Okay, good. So I'm hoping you guys can still hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, one of the positive ways to influence the kids is to subject them to different kinds of experiences, positive experiences. So verbally teaching the kids is one way, and teaching them by subjecting them to new experiences, positive experiences, is much more powerful way, because there the experience through the five senses and the mind is creating a positive superimposing effect that replaces all the past negative experiences, especially the visual and the auditory effect, the eyes and ears. And these effects continuously shape their personality. So refreshing experiences that nourish the soul can go a long way in planting these seeds effectively. These experiences can be nature trips, leisure bike rides, loving chat, bedtime stories, horseback rides, group time with favorite friends, good family movie time, simple things like this. But these experiences are critical, especially to negate the negative experiences, thereby so you maintain that even temperament, and you use that calm temperament time to plant the seeds. Now, any questions so far? I didn't organize the presentation in a certain way. I had to just haphazardly put together all the points that came to me. So we can debate about it, and then like pick and choose whatever we learn from this, and then exchange thoughts about these ideas. So then another thing that I want to mention is the group effect. So when the kids are alone, they are mostly rebellious and the receptivity is very less. So the positive behavior can be implanted effectively in a group setting. So even if a presence of one more kid, maybe their favorite friend, can hugely improve the receptivity. So in a group setting, the receptivity multiplies in a big way. So this is something that parents may know already, but they may not be planning for group sessions in a periodic way. So that's why creating systems is important, and probably if they put the time and energy to create such systems, then this can go a long way in cumulatively changing their personality towards the positive side. And the other thing that I want to share is putting yourself in kids' shoes, like experiencing the kids' world, experiencing their frustrations, experiencing their limitations, experiencing the stress, and experiencing their temptations, their distractions, and seeing the world through the kids' eyes, and going through the confusion that they are going through. So these will open up some ideas, and you can go down to their level, interact with their friends, play with them, and be with them. Thereby, you take your mind to that level and experience, and thereby you see what they are going through and why whatever the seeds that we are planting or the behavior that we want is not happening, or like how to unlock the roadblocks and how to increase the receptivity. But regardless, we have to be prepared for fallbacks and rough spots, and it can come anytime. You have to be ready with fire drills. So if you work in any corporate office, they always do the fire drills to prepare the audience for and any kind of contingency event, right? So similar such way, good parents will have a set of contingency measures or fire drills, and they will have a list of contingencies also, depending on the behavioral pattern of the kids, to either negate or reduce the effect of negative situations, or to immediately pull them out of negative situations. And parents have to, they have to again bring this into their system and practice the fire drills and impart into their system of life. That way, it is in their random access memory and quickly can be recalled and used in their daily life. These things can appear to be very tedious and tough to implement, but whatever even simple steps that we can pick from and adapt can go a long way. As I said, like the compounding effect is huge. So we had to continuously optimize our behavior, the behavior of the parents and thereby the behavior of the kids. Optimize it like the way the Japanese manufacturing companies do, in a sense, by observing, learning, adapting, and repeating this process again and again. We raise our awareness, and we catch all the loopholes as much as possible. And so we come to the next point, which is learning by observation. Now, kids are experts in mimicking, and you must have observed already, kids mimic whatever from the baby stage. Whatever actions that the parents do, like talking over a phone or typing on a computer or cooking with the vessels, these behaviors are mimicked by the kids in a big way because it is filtered into their system. So one of the most powerful ways by which the kids learn is by observing their peers, role models, especially parents. So just by one act of behaving properly, possibly in a yogic way around the kids, and possibly always, by this way, the parents can effectively teach good behavior to kids. Now, it's not possible to behave in a certain way in front of the kids and another way away from the kids, because the behavior always overlaps the time window, because it comes from subconscious mind and you cannot control the behavior. So it's better to, once and for all, change your personality in such a way that you want to be, how you want the kids to grow up, you better be like that. This is probably the most powerful way to affect your kids, to plant the seeds in your kids. It's a simple but not easy step, and definitely not easy step for the parents, because as they have to dig deep and eliminate most of their negative behavior patterns, which has come through many years of behaviors and is deeply entrenched. Now, but it is definitely possible. So the solution for that is how to do this is by joining organizations like Siddha-Vetha or Sky Yoga and similar such spiritual and transformational organizations who, through their different activities, provide you tools and techniques and ways in a consistent manner, in a variety of ways that you can pick and choose and apply that suits your personality and transform your personality once and for all. By this way, these positive behaviors will filter into your family, especially the kids. Because once you start going to Siddha-Vetha or Sky Yoga or any such organization where we are talking about ancient science, nature, eradicating worries, and negating the anger, eating foods that are nature-oriented and good for the body. all these things seep into the kids at a very young age, and these are powerful seeds that are going to have compounding effect, cumulative value, because it's going to grow with the kids, and they're going to go and spread this to their friends and so on. So that's one of the one of the reasons why I put that systems of positive behavior patterns, because organizations like Siddha-Vetha and Sky Yoga and other such spiritual organizations are systems of positive behavior patterns, because they are self-sustaining systems. Whether you participate in it or not, they are operational already, and they have been, they are out there open to receive you and impart the behavior, and you can go at your own pace, and you can, gain from it either by participating actively or passively. And you can take the whole family, things like that. Now, let's move on to the next step, which is, we just spoke about learning by observation. Next is, how do we learn about ourselves to correct ourselves? So here I'll take a 1 minute break to see if anyone has any questions, because I've been talking at length for about last 15 minutes or so. So I have another maybe 5 minutes, and then I will close. But if you have any questions, you can ask now. Okay, so I'll move on. So how do we learn about our behavior first, that is the parents' behavior first, in order to correct ourselves, so that we behave in a way that the kids can follow and emulate? Because this is a very critical point. I mean, once you have this right, then you have pretty much everything else right. So one of the key things is, one of the key terminology that I want to share here is, that's coined by Vethathri Maharishi, is introspection. And if you go in the Western world way, it is Peter Drucker, the management guru. He coined the word called feedback analysis. So this, what does that mean? It means that since the kids observe the parents and they learn from the parents, and the parents, what can they do to correct their own negative behavior or negative interaction, either between the parents or between the parent and the kid? So in order to do this, the first step is data collection. And then the second step is pattern identification. Now, how is data can be collected? Data collection is done by introspection. Now, what is this process of introspection? Actually, this is a detailed set of, all the Sky practitioners might know it already. Other people, I recommend, if you can go and join a Sky organization and then learn the Sky Meditation Center, learn this system. If not, I'll give you a just brief idea. I mean, those who are not interested, they can also do it, definitely. But the effectiveness is dependent on their personality. So by being in a calm meditative mode, if you can recall all the significant interactions that a parent that you had with the kids, you can write that down in a diary of some sort. This would be the diary that defines the state of the mind at different time intervals, right? So this would be the data for you, especially during negative interactions, and as much details as possible. So from this, over a period of time, if you capture such data, I know it involves some work, but it's definitely worth. So I would recommend heavily to do it in writing. Now, from this data, you can see a set of patterns emerging, and pay particular attention to the negative behavior patterns. What sort of triggers, what sort of patterns that are coming through. And now, here special attention needs to be paid for the words or phrases used by the parent in hostile situations when the kid is not cooperating and such. Also, the body language and actions, etc., need to be recalled and captured. Now, these repetitive patterns need to be identified and then the corrective measures have to be taken to counter these negative actions one by one. So you have to focus on one at a time till it is completely cured by rehearsing your interaction in a negative situation, and then removing it once and for all from your personality, and then going to the next one and so on. So it's a long, tedious process, but again, if focus is given to one at a time, the most prominent one, until it's eliminated completely, then success is guaranteed. This is especially possible for people who are doing meditation and yoga and those sort of things, because they have this cleansing, forgiveness, and the ability to bring the mind to a lower frequency. Now, so also the attention needs to be paid to the environment around the kid. See, we have to observe on what situations the irritation or the negative behavior comes, and we have to correct that. So now once these things are corrected, then this cumulatively adds to the personality of the kid and the behavior of the kid, the performance of the kid, and all this adds to the performance of kid in the school, in relationship with the parents, and so on. So the most important thing is the hardest work has to be done in the calmest hour. When the kids are calm, when the house is calm, that is a plantation time for planting all the seeds. It's like bedtime story period. It's very calm. Everybody is in receptive mode. The kids are in receptive mode. They're going into subconscious state. That's a great time to plant the seeds. And something that can be done on a consistent manner, that would be good. If you can impart that into your system, that'll be great. Now, what happens? How do you behave during the negative periods? What is the best recommended? From my experience, during the viciously negative periods where the interaction between the kids and the parents are challenging, one of the best ways to negotiate is to remain calm with no reaction, as silent presence. Again, it is simple but not easy. There may be many failures, but we have to keep going back to the drawing board and correcting our failures and putting back into our systems, fixing our, optimizing our methodology. It needs practice, and given the compounding benefit of this, is well worth the effort. And now let me come to the final section. Now, before I move forward, I just want to say, you have to form networks with other successful parents also, because you can learn from other successful parents and how they grow their kids, and form networks and form group sessions with the like-minded kids, and mix if they are tempted to ask for negative foods like chocolates and stuff, or negative distractions and sense devices and stuff, then start with rationing it, giving it a portion of it, and then slowly, mix it with the positive stuff, and then explain to them. And as it slowly wears on them, then you can take it out totally if possible. Otherwise, at least keep it at the ration level. Finally, I want to finish with what role does Siddha-Vetha play, in all this. Like this webinar, like this weekly webinar, like this, there are, the many events that go around the country related to the well-being of the kids, related to the transformation of the parents, related to the transformation of the society. Siddha-Vetha University is a self-sustaining system that pollinates these positive behaviors to kids and adults in a variety of settings. So just like a full-time professional can always come up with a resourceful way to solve a problem that they spend their lifetime in it, like Siddha-Vetha spends their entire time in such solutions, in coming up with solutions for problems that common man faces. So by associating and by participating actively, or at least passively, in Siddha-Vetha events, parents and kids can enormously enrich their awareness towards achieving a well-balanced life. So especially the role of Siddha-Vetha is more critical in the modern society to counter the omnipresent negative factors or distractions for kids like devices and other such things. So with that, I will conclude, and I will open it for any questions. And I want to thank Dr. Sean for this great opportunity. I want to thank all the audience present here for patiently listening to these thoughts. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for presenting it in such a short notice. So that's one thing, it's wonderful. You summed up very interesting points that you've told. Some of them is like co-realizing. You were talking about group consciousness, how we can develop through communities, by even kids are staying with communities which are calm, families. They get calm, and what our families do, families introduce junk food, then you get their kids there, they're going to do the same thing. And if group of families introduce good food, and this is how you do birthdays, this is how you do parties, then the same environment is going to change. So I think your point on without changing the parent, you cannot expect your kids to change, and that's very critical. And definitely I think this is a very good session for parents who are in a confused state, not knowing what is good for them, and but they are ready to change, make changes for the kids. They're ready to sacrifice, but it's not enough. Their effort has not been enough. So I wanted to discuss something on this point, but if anybody has any questions, we can open, and then we can further evolve on this.
Yes, good evening. This is Ashwini. Shiva, it was a great talk. I really enjoyed your talk, the flow, and I think it is very important in this day and age, because both as a parent as well as being a pediatrician, I and many pediatricians do see the negative effects of the negativism that's around kids in this day and age. It is really a wake-up call for all of us, especially us, because our upbringing back was different than what our challenges are here. So I think it's a very good topic and an eye-opener for a lot of us. And yes, it is. We really have to start thinking about it, making this our priority, because the end results are already what we are seeing. As a physician, I'm seeing it, and we don't want our kids that far. So yes, so important at this time of the year. Thank you, Shiva. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Appa.
Okay.
Hi, Shiva. This is Kishore here. Thank you very much for the nice talk. Very valuable information that you collected and then presented to us. I just wanted to share one or two experiences that I have noticed myself. Parents have a very large influence on how the kids develop and how kids form habits, and it's also a great opportunity to spend time with kids. I mean, whether a family has kids or not. For example, an older husband and wife who are basically empty nesters, they still have a lot of learning to do. I mean, life is supposedly a journey that keeps on going. I mean, it never slows down or anything like that. So we should really feel very encouraged to spend time with kids and learn from them, and also change ourselves observing them. Because when a kid is born in the world, I mean, they really don't have any negative tendencies, just like you pointed out, which is really true. I mean, they just develop habits, observing what parents are doing. So parents, I really think have a lot of learning to do from interacting with kids. So one important exercise that I try to follow every once in a while is try to change my own habits. Whether it is the amount of time that we spend with the screens. So that has a huge influence. We don't even realize how many devices we have around the household. On an average, maybe a dozen or maybe close to 20 different devices for an average household of 2 or 3 people or maybe 4 people. So that's a lot of exposure that we have to electronics around our house. And the more time we spend as an adult, it just drains down our own creativity and our own last opportunity to spend time on other things that are more interesting and more valuable and more enriching also. So I really echo a lot of what you shared in the presentation. So I really thank you very much once again.
Any questions? No questions. Well, it's a very important topic. I think you should have some kind of a question. Otherwise, I will share the programs in Veta. But I think it's a very important topic. You can, if you don't have questions, you can give a comment.
Hey, this is Viharan. Hello.
Yes, Hariharan, go ahead, please.
Yeah. It's question as well as a comment. The point is, so how about you? How are we going to basically circumvent the ill effects of this modern living, right? So how much ever we say, but if you go out of this world, like when kids go to school or kids go with their friends, that has much more superimposing effect on the kid than what we are talking right now. So they get influenced by these things when they are at school, and that the effect of that is much more. So unless we have a Siddha-Vetha school or a sky school where kids go, you are putting them in an environment, and that's going to influence them much more than you can control. So I do understand that we put them in a situations where more people with this kind of frequencies are there, so that that will have a effect or calming effect on them, but that is not feasible all the time. So what would you do in this situation? Like, that's basically my question as well as comment. Are we helpless, or of course we can do things that Siva just described, but beyond that, what's the thought plan?
Siva, you can answer, and then I will also add on to it.
Okay. So that's a very, very, very important question, a very practical question. The frustration of parents in the modern day is definitely understandable, because you don't have a extended family where you can get the buffer of the grandparents and uncles and aunts and stuff, and then you have this modern society and tremendous amount of influence where the school is also encouraging devices heavily, and the devices are not really monitored very strictly. So sometimes kids use it in not the right way, either in the school buses or in the recess time and so on. So there's so many probabilities of things can come in and disrupt. But as parents, we should not lose heart. One thing is, you have the source with you, and the source is the kid. So if you prepare the source and you send them to the battlefield, they will survive and win the battle. So now how you prepare the source is the key, for which you need to prepare yourself first. So that's why everything boils down to a lot of hard work needs to be done at our level, in the sense the parent level. The parent has to prepare themselves. They have to cleanse their minds. They have to be in that calm state. Then they pass that cleansing thoughts to the kids and continuously have a bonding with the kid, like have a very, very strong bonding with the kid, a friendly friend, philosopher, and guide kind of bonding. It should be the first line of defense that the kid will, if they think about it, it should be you, the parent. Like, that kind of trust you have to develop, for which you need to work hard. You need to keep up your word. You need to explain when you fall back or when you fall short. So it's a huge commitment. It's not something that you can, like going late to the office or something like that. You need to be really committed on your promises to the kid and explain when things are not done in the way that they expect. If you don't buy a chocolate that they want, you have to explain to them to the extent possible. I mean, there'll be you cannot achieve 100%, but what I am saying is every single step that you take in the way has a cumulative effect. You have to convince yourself that the cumulative effect of taking even the simplest possible step is on your side. So I would say, like, the daily interaction with the kid, the loving way of bonding with the kid, and then the daily cleansing, whatever way you can do, in the yogic way or by chanting, blessing when they sleep. If you do the blessing, share bedtime stories. The other important point that I forgot to mention in the talk is by exposing them and taking them to the presence of a realized guru is huge. I mean, it's massive, because the energy transcends the words and stuff. So energy seeps into their system right away. So you repeatedly take them to the presence of spiritual people and spiritual, setting. So you again and again subject them, marinate them, they get cleansed as much as possible. And so all this will add up and it will have an effect. And then you communicate with them by writing letters, by drawing pictures, by painting with them, singing with them, dancing with them, and going to their level and communicating, by going to the zoo with them, and by taking to them to exciting. So even though the negative behaviors are tempting, when you bond in this way, I think your bonding will protect them in a lot of complex situations.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add on something for Hariharan's, the question. Definitely Shiva had already answered. One of the key component that we are looking here is, like, you have a seed, and that's your seed. It could be a mango seed or a jackfruit or whatever seed. It's a very different kind of seed. So this seed can grow in different land. So that is the thing here. A seed, how this seed is going to grow in another soil. The soil may be different, and the seed cannot become another tree. So you have to clearly understand this. The seed can only become the tree of its own kind. It cannot become another tree. So what can change the health of the tree, the quality of fruits and everything, depends on the environment. So here we cannot do much with the environment, but you could make the seed survive even in that environment before the seed is, the tree completely goes away. So this is where we need, there are, here we have people who are not married yet. We have people with small kids, little kids, and teenagers. All different levels of kids are there. So each one need a different kind of solution. So if you haven't planned for a kid, then you have to be very prepared for how we are going to face this environment. It's much better even before planning the kid, what all you need to do in order for, if you're listening to a lot of things that are from outside and you bring a kid out, then the same inputs are not only food, but input comes from five senses. So that's going to influence the kids. The next level is, that's gone, I didn't do that, what will you do? Next level is to listen to different kind of things at young age, exposed to ancient scientific, it could be a mantra, it could be a series of readings. So you go to a temple or anything, but tell them the meanings slowly. But in young age, you don't even need any meanings. Expose them to this kind of environment frequently, and then in a later stage, this doesn't work. Bhakti doesn't work. These kids pick up very quickly. Even at fourth, fifth grade, they start to ask questions here. Very smart here. That is the time where you need banyana, where you need to be able to explain them the scientific aspect of this. And as they grow, okay, I didn't do that. What can I do next? Mine are already teenage. What can I do? Well, teenage kids, give them what they like is to do this. So we have this program called Youth Career Accelerator Program, and now we are teaching these kids to write papers, and a lot of progress there. A lot of kids are now working on paper. So we give them an, a title that suits them, and they can go to modern education using that paper. They can build their profile. So this is one area where you can expose a kid when you're teenage. If the kids are gone out, they're married, then it's another reason. So you become a grandparent, that's a different case. You can still be a very good source of blessing parent. A grandparent can be like a people tree. You can meditate, and you start to bless the kids. You can still transform your generations. So there is no way that you can say that I have missed an opportunity to do something to my kids or grandkids or anywhere. So there are different levels where you can see that you can still work on, and that way you don't have any reason to say that there are extreme conditions, as Dr. Ashwini was talking about. You haven't faced that, when imagine your kid becoming pregnant at the age of when she's 12-year old, and she comes and stands in front of you, what would you do? I mean, think about these things. This community is slowly going to that, and because of the influence from different culture setup, which the culture here needs a big guidance. There is a huge amount of uh, education needed in that area. It is lacking, and they are in need of this. But you already are exposed to this kind of thing. You have a very good, highly scientific culture which already has this knowledge, but we are not able to implement that on the kids. So that is where we need this education. We are developing many programs on this, to even conscious parenting and all these things we wanted to develop. We need all of your support in this direction to bring this as we're not looking at it as an organization, we are looking at it as a community where we can, you don't have to limit to, Siddha-Vetha doesn't have a particular set of rules. This is how you have to behave, but we guide you overall to pick from different things. We bring out ancient science and technology. It could be anything that you do, but we make sure you connect the dots and fill in the gaps, so you can continuously bring that, because your DNA has a strong connection to that roots, and easily you can connect back. Your kids can easily pick that up, but we need to organize that. And if you are engaged in different kind of parties, different kind of friendship, wrong friendships, discussing all with the drinks, alcohols, and soda, all these things come in front of the kids, and you are going to discuss how are you going to change your kids. Pizza parties, all these are done by majorly Indian parents who you go to Chuck E. Cheese or McDonald's, you pick there and then make them play there, and then you're asking your kid to be good. How will they do? Slowly, one thing, your food will change the other. The mind, the inputs will change, and we're going to be ending up in big trouble. So it's high time, as a community, we need to protect the traditional wisdom based knowledge which is needed for the whole world. It's not just yours, but for the whole world need this. And how your kids are going to take it to the next generation, that's where we wanted to train them, right? So I just wanted to announce you here, and thank you, Shiva, for this wonderful topic, and glad you made it it's the right time. So I wanted to share some of the courses that we are, we'll be, um, you know, will be having in Siddha-Vetha. So we'll be offering in Siddha-Vetha 2 courses. Right now we have what is called Siddha Home Gardening course, which is all about how you can prepare a garden. You can engage your kids, give them this project, and they will be able to do so. What this is given by a world renowned scientist, Dr. Thimmaiah, agriculture scientist. He was in the advisory board of Bhutan government. Bhutan is the only country in the world which is completely organic, and Thimmaiah has been very important scientist who took a major role in creating Bhutan to be one of the organic countries in the world. And so he is giving this course, along with, I'm thinking of Revati, who recently gave us an innovative talk on ecology. So that will be added later on. But this is what we have for the course. If you need anything, is the course description of, first thing is the module 1. It's a 10 module course, or in a 15 module if Revati is added to this. This module will present a course overview by understanding the importance of organic vegetable garden in the current context of urbanization, land degradation, and choosing alternative eco-conscious lifestyle. Importance of gardening in the ancient Vedic scriptures, planning for an organic Vedic gardening, tools and implements, building healthy soil, techniques for building a healthy soil, seed starting indoors and outdoors, nutrition deficiency in plants, diagnosis and management, irrigation and water management in the gardens, weeds and their utilization, cultivation of common vegetable and herbs, and then harvesting and storage. So this is part of the curriculum we have. And we have a course on Siddha culinary medicine. And in culinary medicine, you will see a lot of the things that we learned, and now we need to relearn because we lost a lot of them. For example, there were more than hundreds or thousands of recipes for ganjis. What are ganjis? We got at least 100 recipes for ganjis, are like ancient soup, right? I don't know what you call in Telugu. If anybody knows, that's fine. Telugu, Malayalam, Hindi, but I know in Tamil we call it kanji. It's a soup, right? So you can make. There are hundreds of them that were lost, and we're trying to introduce some of these ancient in this course called Siddha Culinary Medicine. So Dr. Selva Shanmugam, who is a Siddha um, uh, professor, he has a PhD in Siddha, but has learned from the most wonderful Siddha doctor, amazing Siddha doctor, Devanayagam. And he has been trained with them. So he is going to teach, and I'm also going to teach along with him how to prepare. People are worried about what you're going to make for your breakfast for kids. They're not eating this. They are going for pastas. They're going for other bread, and they don't like this food. So we're going to teach what you can make best for the kids with the available recipe that is having the same value, but at the same time it is very modern. So that's what I will be teaching. But and how to use the modern, what are the things that you want to prevent when you're using modern cooking, and how you go for ancient cutleries and many other devices that they use, how they are going to add value. So these are some things that I will be discussing, but doctor will be Selva will be talking about introduction to Siddha culinary medicine, preventive care through healthy cooking, longevity through culinary medicine, diabetes mellitus in module 4, how to control diabetes, hypertension and cardiovascular disease, module 5, module 6, pediatric diet, approach to healthy children, module 7, diet for obesity, autoimmunity and other non-communicable disease, 8, allergy and asthma, diet for female health, menstrual disorder, and then question answers. So these are things that we wanted to incorporate in the Siddha culinary medicine. So Siddha culinary medicine, we are trying to get it get started as early as possible in the first week of March. And Siddha organic vegetable garden at the end of March, so that you prepare everything, and we want to have everyone have a garden, a real garden. It's not just learning. We want to make sure you have a garden for yourself. So that's what we wanted to practically implement this. So if you're interested, you support us now, we will support you back and help your kids. So that's what we can promise. We are looking for a future. We don't want to see a future which is very jeopardic, and she want to really not miss this invaluable education that we got from our Siddhas. So we want to bring many other courses. So after that we will have youth career accelerator courses are coming in the summer exclusively for teenage kids, up to college level, so they can attend. We are going to exclusively focus is our bunch of online courses, and they can take, and we certify those courses, and then we can give them a lot of things, help, so that they can use those courses and they can publish papers and they can enter into their colleges or higher studies schools. So this is one thing that we wanted to do. Number 2 is we wanted to organize a very big this, as Hariharan was telling, what would you do? We don't have a school, but we'll start somewhere. We will start somewhere like in the summer schools. Summer times we'll have exclusively for kids. Will some activity with collaborating with organizations. We know that many organizations do some things, but kids are not really happy about some things, like you do marriages, guards do marriage, and kids are like really confused about how does guard get married and all. So we wanted to bring very scientific courses. So we wanted to make sure we would be able to answer all the questions that the kids can ask. So we are trying to bring the best modules there, ancient way of math, math, how to learn math, ancient physics, ancient alchemy, everything we have formulated as a curriculum, and that will be ready for the summer. So students we start with a summer school, and we wanted to do first year we will take like few days, 1 week, 10 days or so, and then next year onwards we'll do 1 month, and then later on we'll do 3 months. So we'll at least have a summer school, and by then if everything works out, then we can have a school or college or where kids can. So it's a slow progress. So we need a help from a lot of people. So we really need a lot of support from all of you, so we can bring this ancient science school from starting from LKG all the way to college, PhD. So that's one of our aims, and we are not limiting to any organization or any other things. People who want to interact with us, as long as it is scientific and ancient knowledge, it has wisdom, it has value, we encourage everyone, and there is no limitation for us. Okay, so thank you all for the time, and if you have any questions, you can ask now. Any questions? Okay.
We look forward to the courses, sir. They're both really
okay. Thank you. And we are also hosting a big event in California. People who want to support us can support. So it's an event where 100,000 people are going to join, and this is a very right opportunity to you have an organization, you wanted to bring your organization here and represent something we do through Siddha-Vetha. So there I will let you know in the next week about how you can be part of that. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you,
Dr. Chan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.